Hi, Joshua.
Hi, Joshua. You're live on
Hey,
Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hey, not too much. Quick question, Dan. Were you with on one of Anthony Magnabosco's videos?
Yes, that was me. That was me about
Oh my God!
over 5 years ago now, I think. Yeah.
What a transition, you know.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Talk about listen to your talk about the tragedy that's happening in Canada right now. I totally agree. It's I was wondering how far a group will actually go to institutionalize a population, you know, and it really does show, you know, that they really have no bounds. And is it more cultural genocide or like unification to a population's benefit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think every group of human beings who wrap their identity around something is capable of doing that. You know, I think especially so though, if you think that what you're doing is by the grace of God, you know, like what gives you more permission than that? Right.
And also doing it by force
unlimited
too.
Power in that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
go
ahead, Joshua.
So, yeah, sorry. My question really is, how do you truly recover from religion? I find myself, you know, I'm an atheist now, but I was raised as a Roman Catholic. And there's just like, I can't shake this feeling sometimes that I have to pray in order to feel better about myself. And I don't, as much as I don't believe in a God, or, you know, I could say it out loud, I could say it to a bunch of different people, but at the same time, there's a sinking feeling inside of me that I have to appease some higher power. You know, like, do you feel like sometimes your only way out is to converse with the Almighty?
Yeah, you know, in the first year or two of my deconstruction, yes, definitely prayer was still like a coping mechanism that kind of came up every once in a while. And I've heard that's pretty common for a lot of people who go through that deconstruction. And it's exactly what it is. It's a coping mechanism. It's something that I've been taught since I was a kid, a way for me to deal with my problems. When I was stressed out and something was happening, you give it up to God, right? Like that's literally like that's like a Veggie Tales kind of Christianity that at least I was given. So I think that's you know, for me now, not something that really bothers me at all. It's not something that goes through my thought process. But I do know other people who years later who still have those thoughts every once in a while. For me, honestly, the best thing was being around so many atheists and talking it out every time it was happening, or even just going through my thought process. Being surrounded by that community has been really, really helpful. And you know, being lucky that I get to talk
right now is.
Yeah, you know, it's hard, right? I'm lucky because I get to talk to the great folks at the atheist community of Austin, who could really help me with that when I really needed it. And that's a privilege in itself that a lot of atheists just really don't have. We don't have that sense of community, which is why you see such an online presence of atheists, because they're trying to look for other people who think and feel just like they do. My advice would be, if you're not looking into resources like recovering from religion, then look for other people you can find at least community with to at least talk about, because it does go away for most people. Those thoughts are intrusive ones, but ultimately are only going to give you the harm that you give them the power to, right? So that's my take on it. I want to hear Erin's thoughts though, because Erin, you're a bit closer to me than I am on this. So
yeah, I'm like 2 years out right now of deconverting. So, and I want to like emphasize that I went through this as well. And I would say probably about 6 to the 9 month range is when I still felt like that. Still felt compelled to pray, especially under times of stress. And I felt eventually you can kind of look at it. Why is it only when I'm under times of stress that I feel like I need to pray like that? And for me, it really took some time of like learning that maybe that was a bit of a trigger response for me. So when I'm unsettled, it's actually something that was maybe kind of like trained into me. There's an expression, I think it goes like the neurons that fire together, wire together. So it become a very learned response for me to pray when I was stressed. And so learning other strategies to put in place, like instead of praying, for myself, I'll just like, saying things to myself, like affirming myself, be like, hey, you've got this, or, you know, you don't believe this stuff anymore, and everything that you've been through so far, you did it yourself, so it means you've got this. Like, just, you know, almost talking yourself up. One time I referred it to as like praying to yourself. I know Christians will have a field day with that, but using the same process of like, I'm stressed and I need to talk to something. I'm going to talk to myself right now and tell myself that I can handle this. And it was just a process of doing that enough times. And it was like a few months later. It doesn't take very long for you to relearn something or learn a new action. So for me, I very much attribute that need to pray with like a trauma response or like a triggering response. So it's something that takes time, and you just got to be patient with yourself and that sinking feeling. I mean, for myself, I did have some trauma going on with my religious experience, and going to some counseling really helped with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Erin. That does sound very helpful. I mean, I think I may have to just reinforce the idea that it is just me talking to myself and trying to de-stress the situation and trying to get out of those trigger phases.
And just be easy on yourself.
One more quick question.
Go for it.
It's more philosophical, but I figure maybe it's just a topic that we can football around. But is religion intrinsic to the human experience? I know that maybe we don't have to answer it tonight, but I figure maybe is it that humans need religion, or is it? I don't know the idea. There's so many different religions. There's so many different believers, and even I feel as atheists, we still believe in an idea, even though it's not God, you know. But it's still something that's higher than ourselves.
Couple things there. You know, when you use the word religion, that can mean a lot of different things to different people. And when you say the word that atheist,
I should clarify.
Using atheists too, saying that we believe in something. I mean, that I think most atheists watching this will probably might even disagree with that. I've met so many atheists that
more of what does Matt Dillahunty call it? It's more of like the humanitarian aspect. You know, it's not like, you know, just believing in something greater than yourself, and it's not really a God or a religion or anything like that. But it's believing in something that's greater than yourself, you know, and contributing.
You might be describing humanism, maybe, right? You might be describing a kind of
humanism. Yes, that's the word for it. Yeah,
and so that can be separately defined as an ideology, separate from how we might philosophically define atheism. Now, I'm not going to get talking to what atheist means, right?
Yeah, because
that's the most annoying thing in the world that people talk about all the time. Okay, it means whatever you want it to mean, honestly, at the end of the day. But specifically,
I hate generalizing atheism as well, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a problem too, because while, you know, it is a statistical fact that most atheists in the United States, you know, think and feel similarly on most political issues, we're still not a unified whole, and still not a complete ideology in itself. That's something that all atheists follow. You know, really, it's just a word used as a descriptor that you may or may not agree with and could apply to yourself. It's a very deconstructed label that doesn't have the same kind of history.
I feel like there's a fallacy of logic when it comes to generalizing a group of people. I always call it like a they-them fallacy, where you say like, oh, they always say this, or they believe that. You know, I feel like people toss that around so much, even with like Republicans and Democrats, or even you know, Catholics and atheists. You know, it's like this group of people that that none of them actually believe in the same thing, but you can generalize it and you can throw that label on them. You know, I totally get that.
Yeah, I'm gonna meet you here for just a second here, and because we're probably gonna wrap up this call, but I think I want to answer your second question too, which was, do we need religion? Which is really interesting, because I don't know, Erin. You and I would say that we don't have a religion, and I think that we're living just fine. But there are other people that say we do have a religion. I mean, we are doing a production for the atheist community of Austin, which some people describe as a church. You know, like, I don't know, like, but we don't have to be doing that either. I guess. Do people need like things to believe in? Do they need like frameworks? Maybe. If you want to define religion that broadly, possibly so. But do we need like a belief in God? Do we need a system of theology? I don't know about that.
I don't know about that either. And
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some people do more than others. I think more than anything, people need people. They need support. I think like we're obviously very like social species. I think it is good to be a part of groups and good to be a part of something that is bigger than yourself. That doesn't necessarily mean something supernatural or something cosmic or anything like that. Even joining a baseball team can give you that sense of community and that sense of purpose. So I don't think it's a universal experience that everybody feels like they don't fall into nihilism like immediately if they don't think they have an ultimate purpose. But I definitely think people need people, and isolation isn't typically a good thing for anybody. So some people find it in church communities. I personally like prefer not being a part of the church community because I felt like it was a very shallow kind of community. I'd rather have different kind of communities where we genuinely kind of connect on something. As far as like, is it there? You kind of brought up the question of like internal and external kind of religiosity, and like I think that's a whole different question. So I think we just kind of will answer that external religiosity for now. Community is everything, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, community is important, and if you find purpose in groups, in interactions, I think most people have a sense of want for that. So humans as we exist today, I think that's true. But if it doesn't have to be a God belief, it doesn't have to be a blind following of a specific tenet of something.
And there's a whole spectrum of different kind of personalities. Some people need more more community than others. Some people they just need a few close friends and they feel like they're quite satisfied in life. Other people need to have a larger group of friends and a larger like circulation of activities that they do. So it's definitely not a one shoe fits all kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I keep bringing this up, but these terms can be so differently defined. I mean, you can define our sense of following the rule of law, our idea of how we organize legal systems in this country. Some people could say that that's a religion because you could really just do what you want. It's just a law book saying that you can or can't, or a system, an institution that's stopping you back. You just have to have belief in that institution in order for it to have any power. There's all kinds of weird places you can go when you play with these words, but ultimately, do I need Christianity? No. I don't think so. Most breakaways from that, I don't think I need that either. So that's what I missed at the end of the day. But Joshua, thank you for calling in with that call. Very interesting questions there. And I hope you do find community and stuff for people to talk to you about the prayer thing too, because I'm sure some people in the chat can also relate to that. So excellent. Any other thoughts on that, Erin, before we go to the next caller here?
Calling, Joshua.
Yeah.